Hello, this is Myra Elaine on the Buying Space channel. Today I'm reading the Torah. As you can see, the Hebrew is on this side and the English is on this side. I am in chapter 20, and this is where Moses goes up on the mountain and receives the 10 commandments from God. We are on the last 2 commandments, verses 16 and 17. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Now, what is this business about bearing false witness? Because it's already said, thou shalt not lie. If you're bearing false witness against someone, isn't that a form of lying? Well, yes, it is. But I once frequently dealt with someone who was like an attorney, because I would say something like, did you take the trash out yesterday? And if he'd taken it out the day before that, he would say no, because I specifically said yesterday. So it's deceitful for a person to say no in that circumstances just because you don't have the right time stamp on it. Did you get the mail yesterday? And the answer is no, because he got it the day before. It was constantly nitpicking about the truth. And I don't know if you've ever known anybody that can't tell the truth about anything. But he would say about me, well, Myra didn't pick up the mail yesterday when I had picked it up the day before that, to make me look bad. Now, technically, what he was saying was not a lie. And I see these videos all the time about where people are just hating on each other and all the time twisting people's words. So I want to talk to you a little about YouTube drama. I know this woman who got herself in a fix where she's just attacked all the time by trolls. And she came on YouTube and she said that she had cancer and people didn't believe her. Because, well, she lied about other things too. So, anyway, I had cancer. I'm a cancer survivor. I had rectal cancer. I know this is a pleasant topic, but cancer was a pain in the ass to me. And the thing is, I'd had cancer for years and didn't know it. And I had a polyndectomy, and the polyp that was removed had a high nuclear grade of cancer on it. And I was told I had 5 years to live. 50-50 chance that I had 5 years to live. So once they took out the polyp and they found the cancer on it, I told everybody I got cancer. And the doctor said, well, it could be in your lymph nodes. It could have traveled over to your spine and gone up to your brain. And it could be anywhere in your body. It's like, wow. So everybody was praying for me. And everybody's like, oh, Myra's got cancer. What's going to happen to her baby? And, you know, on, you know, making funeral plans, doing all that you can and getting, nobody sent me any money or did anything special for me when I had cancer. I mean, there are people out there that will say they have cancer and they're just trying to get your sympathy, because not everybody that says they have cancer has cancer. Well, in my case, I actually didn't have cancer either. Because when they did that one surgery, after the polyp was removed, they went in and removed some tissue where the polyp was attached, and there was no cancer in it. I've had CEA blood work done. I've had countless colonoscopies since then, and no more cancer. So from the time I had the polydectomy and the time that I had the cancer surgery, I told everybody I had cancer. And a little after that, it took me a while to realize, okay, I'm not going to have any cancer. So I may have told a few people after that I had cancer. And people would ask me, Myra, how, do you still have cancer? What's going on? And I really wouldn't know what to tell them because they told me I could have cancer anywhere in my body, and I didn't know. Well, I'm a 25-year-plus survivor of cancer now. But for those months that after my second surgery, and actually in the second surgery they didn't find any cancer. So after that polyp was removed and I found out I had cancer, I didn't have cancer anymore. So cancer can be like that. And so you have to be careful with it. I dated a man whose his mother had cancer. But his father told everybody he had cancer because he was going in for cancer tests. And so the family gathered around, but my ex-boyfriend didn't like his father to start with and was resentful towards him. So he got mad about all the sympathy he was getting from his ex-wife or his mother and his sisters and the rest of the family. Oh, Dad's got cancer. Oh, no. And he got resentful about it because he didn't like him to start with. And he had good reason not to like him to start with. But you have to be really careful if you get cancer, because maybe they're just testing for cancer. But you've had the diagnosis to get the testing, but it hasn't been confirmed. So people in YouTube, what they did was this woman kept saying she had cancer when she was really in remission and didn't have any more cancer. See, if I would have continued to say after my second surgery all the time that I had cancer, people would ask me, and at first I said yes, and then I said, oh no, I don't really know. There hasn't been any more findings. So you go through this emotional journey, and you have to be really careful in who you say that to. This woman said it to the internet. She said it to the world. And then everybody wanted her to prove she still had cancer, or that she had cancer to start with, because nobody believed her, or very few people believed her. So, but there were people that bore false witness against this woman about all kinds of other things. Now, some of the stuff they said where she was lying was true, and some of the stuff they twisted and made up. She made herself a target by lying to start with. But then later, there were many people that bore false witness against her too, and just made up all kinds of stuff that they thought was funny, and it was really cruel, mean stuff. And I really honestly didn't like the woman either. She had lied to me and cheated me, or tried to cheat me. She actually didn't cheat me. But I never said anything about her that wasn't true. After she settled down and got herself on track about what was happening and why it was happening, there were people that still went after her for every little twig or straw that they could find against her. And they would bring up the lies that she told in the past, because those lies aren't going to go away and they're provable. So, but you can only, once you shoot a horse, it's dead. And, my brother always used to say I could shoot a horse, multiple times, and then send it to the glue factory and have it, slaughtered and bottled in glue bottles because I would never let go of stuff when I was younger. And there becomes a time when you just need to give it a rest. Like, this is over. We're going to move on. We're not going to bother this person anymore because you've gotten plenty of views and likes and laughs. And what you're publishing now isn't, is just a repetition of her past lies, or you're making up new junk just because you're bored. And because she was good material for those people out there that like to punk other people or be mean. So it's time to move on. So stop bearing false witness against people. Like I said, you can say stuff that's the truth, but once that phase is over, then it just gets boring to say the same truth over and over. That becomes harassment. So let's all move on from YouTube drama. So anyway, the next commandment about coveting. Now, I would love to own a Mustang. One of those yellow Mustangs. Looks like Bumblebee from the Transformer movie. I'd love to have a car like that. And if my neighbor had a car like that, I would honestly be a little jealous, but I wouldn't covet my neighbor's car. Even though I would want one exactly like it, I wouldn't want to take that one from my neighbor. So it's talking about coveting your neighbor's house. I might want a 4-bedroom house, and I only have a 3-bedroom house. So if I want my neighbor's specific 4-bedroom house, I'm coveting that house. Because I can go out, if I have the means or the time left in my life, to go out and get my own 4-bedroom house. I can do that. But if I do something that makes the possession of that house mine, that specific house, that would be wrong. Or if I took my neighbor's Bumblebee Mustang, because I live in an area, Jacksonville, Florida, it's full of car dealerships. I bet I could find a yellow Mustang probably in a day in Jacksonville, Florida for sale. So I don't have to have that specific Mustang. And it's worse when you talk about the people in your neighbor's life. If you want your neighbor's spouse, well, that's a specific person. If you want a spouse that's similar to your neighbor's spouse, because maybe she has a good job with benefits, or maybe she has children with no problem, or, whatever it is, she looks good in a bikini, you've seen her out there washing the car, and you want that specific lady in your life, and you do harm to your neighbor to woo his wife after she's a widow, that's not only murder and probably lots of lies along the way and deceit and bearing false witness and a bunch of other stuff. But it started with coveting. And coveting, like I said, is different from jealousy or wanting, or in the case of the wife, lusting after. That would be adultery because she's married. So if you obey the other commandments, it's easier to obey each commandment individually. So I think that's all I had to say about coveting and bearing false witness. And I take no responsibility if anyone here resembles or thinks that I'm talking about a specific person out in YouTube land or out in real life. These situations, these criminal situations, happen all the time, and YouTube trolls attack different people all of the time. And if you've ever had cancer and you're a survivor, bravo. And if you've had a family member that had cancer and died, it's probably difficult for you to hear of people surviving, or people who just had cancer just a little bit and got over it. I could understand how that might trigger people that have had family members or know of people that have had a long battle with cancer. I had a short battle with cancer and I survived. Thank God I survived. And thank God it was a short battle, because I've heard nightmare stories about people with chemo ports, and the suffering just goes on and on with it sometimes, and a lot of times it ends in death. So I can understand, but I've had people mad at me because I had cancer when I was an atheist. I had people mad at me that when I survived cancer, I was just like, they acted like I owed them something for them praying for me. And I'm like, no. My second surgery took care of my cancer. My first surgery actually took care of my cancer. And I gave no gratitude towards them, and that made people mad. And then I had people tell me, well, you didn't have cancer at all. Just because it was all removed on that first surgery. But I went through all the emotional trauma of thinking that I was going to die. And my child at the time was 2.5. And it was a heartbreaking phase. Even though I just had that one spot of cancer. And it was a miracle. It was removed in that first surgery. And I'm still here to take care of my child. And I thank God for that. Even though I didn't thank God for it at the time. I am grateful for it now. Because I can't imagine what my child's life would have been like if I would have died. My child needed me. I was not done. Still not done. But let's just remember to be kind to each other and love each other. The love thy neighbor as thyself pretty much covers the last 6 commandments, to love everybody. And the first 4 commandments are about obeying God. And if we obey God, the last 6 commandments won't be that hard to do. But if you start violating the little covenant here, little covenant there, if you start lying, it's easier to steal, it's easier to murder, it's easier to do all those other things if you just start down that road. You all have a wonderful and blessed day. Next week I'll give an overview of chapter 20. I'll read the entire chapter and make a summary at the end of that, and we will move on to the tabernacle.